Hey folks, in today's Conundrum we will cover the case of Ivan Robert Marko Milat, known as the backpacker murderer, who cast a dark shadow over Australia with his horrifying crimes. Between 1989 and 1992, he unleashed a reign of terror, abducting, assaulting, robbing, and ultimately murdering 2 men and 5 women in New South Wales. His method was cunning, using the allure of providing transportation to backpackers along the Hume Highway. Little did they know, their trust would lead them into the depths of the foreboding Belanglo State Forest, where Milat would carry out his heinous acts. However, his crimes extended beyond this time frame, with suspicions pointing to numerous other similar offenses and murders scattered throughout the country. Milat's early life offers a glimpse into a turbulent upbringing. Born on the 27th of December 1944, at Crown Street Women's Hospital in Guildford, New South Wales, he was the son of Croatian immigrant Stjepan Marko Stephen Milat, a laborer, and Margaret Elizabeth Piddleston, an Australian national. Ivan entered the world as the 5th child among their brood of 14. Initially residing in a modest rural weatherboard cottage farm in Bossley Park, located 36 kilometers west of Sydney, the Milat family later relocated to Liverpool. While Milat's parents were diligent in raising and educating their children, sending them to Catholic schools, his father's battle with alcoholism marred the household's tranquility. The Milat boys, known for their prowess with knives and firearms, would spend their afternoons honing their skills by shooting targets in their parents' yard. Recollections from his siblings paint a disturbing picture of Milat's early behavior, with accounts of his antisocial and psychopathic tendencies. Even during childhood, he displayed a propensity for violence, often attacking animals with machetes. These alarming actions led to his enrollment in a residential school at the age of 13. However, the delinquency persisted, as he found himself in a juvenile detention center at 17 for theft, followed by a shop break-in at 19. The cycle continued, with a sentence of 18 months for breaking and entering in 1964, and shortly after his release, another arrest for driving a stolen car, resulting in 2 years of hard labor. His criminal endeavors culminated in a 3-year imprisonment for theft in September 1967. The year 1971 marked a significant turning point in Milat's criminal trajectory. On the 7th of April, near Liverpool railway station, he abducted 2 young hitchhikers, aged 18, brandishing a knife. The harrowing ordeal took a darker turn when he raped one of the victims. However, a glimmer of hope emerged as they made a stop at a petrol station cafe, seizing the opportunity to escape their captors' clutches. Milat's capture followed shortly thereafter, with charges of rape and armed robbery brought against him. As he awaited trial, he embarked on a string of robberies with his brothers, culminating in a calculated plan to fake his suicide. Leaving his shoes at the Gap, a notorious Sydney suicide spot, he vanished from the authorities' grasp. Authorities believed Milat sought refuge in Queensland and Victoria, before venturing to New Zealand, where he resided for 2 years. However, suspicions persist that he clandestinely returned to Australia, utilizing a fake passport and living in different states to evade detection. The long arm of the law briefly caught up with him in 1974, when his mother's heart attack led to his rearrest. Yet the robbery and kidnapping charges against him crumbled during the trial, aided by the Milat family lawyer, John Marsden. Milat then found employment as a truck driver in 1975, cultivating an unassuming facade. Nonetheless, darkness continued to fester within, as evidenced by his failed attempt to rape and murder 2 hitchhiking women en route from Liverpool to Canberra in 1977. Despite the gravity of his actions, he evaded legal consequences for this particular crime. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, several backpackers were reported missing in Australia. Among the cases were Deborah Everest and James Gibson, a young Victorian couple from Frankston, who disappeared on December 30th, 1989, while traveling from Sydney to Confest near Albury. Simone Schmidl, a German backpacker, went missing on January 20th, 1991, after leaving Sydney for Melbourne. Another German couple, Gabor Neugebauer and Anja Habschied, vanished on December 26, 1991, after leaving a hostel in King's Cross for Mildura. British backpackers Caroline Clark and Joanne Walters were last seen in King's Cross on April 18, 1992. On September 19, 1992, two runners discovered a concealed corpse while orienteering in the Belanglo State Forest. The following day, police found a second body 30 meters away. Dental records confirmed the identities of the victims as Caroline Clark and Joanne Walters. Walters had been stabbed multiple times, including 4 times in the chest, once in the neck, and 9 times in the back. Clark had been shot 10 times in the head at the burial site. A thorough search of the forest concluded with no further discoveries. On October 5, 1993, a local man searching for firewood found bones in a remote section of Belanglo. 2 bodies were quickly discovered and identified as Deborah Everest and James Gibson. Gibson had 8 stab wounds, including a knife through his upper spine, causing paralysis. Everest had been beaten, with a fractured skull, a broken jaw, and stab wounds in her back. On November 1, 1993, another skeleton was found in a clearing in Belanglo during a police sweep. It was identified as Simone Schmidl and showed at least 8 stab wounds, including ones severing her spine. Nearby, the bodies of Anja Habschied and Gabor Neugebauer were found on November 4, 1993, in shallow graves. Habschied had been decapitated, and Neugebauer had been shot 6 times in the head. The examination of the victims' remains revealed evidence of torture. In response, Task Force Air was established by the New South Wales Police in October 1993. The reward for information regarding the killings was increased to $500,000. Investigators used link analysis technology to narrow down the list of suspects. Speculation arose about the involvement of multiple killers due to the different ways the victims were attacked and buried. Paul Onions, a backpacker from the United Kingdom, contacted the police on November 13th, providing crucial information. He had been attacked by a man named Bill while hitchhiking near Belanglo in January 1990. On May 5, 1994, Onions positively identified Ivan Milat as the man who had picked him up and attempted to shoot him. Milat was arrested on May 22, 1994. Weapons and items belonging to the victims were found during a search of his residence and his family members' homes. Milat appeared in court on May 23, 1994, and was later charged with the 7 backpacker murders. His trial began on March 26, 1996, and lasted for 18 weeks. Despite overwhelming evidence, Milat maintained his innocence. The defense tried to shift the blame to other members of Milat's family. On July 27, 1996, a jury found Milat guilty on all counts, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole for each murder. He also received additional sentences for the attempted murder, false imprisonment, and robbery of Paul Onions. Ivan Milat, an Australian serial killer, was imprisoned at Maitland Gaol. On his first day there, he was beaten by another inmate. In 1997, Milat attempted to escape with a convicted drug dealer named George Savas, but the plan failed, and Savas was found hanged the next day. Milat was then transferred to the maximum security section at Goulburn Correctional Center. Milat appealed against his convictions in 1997, citing a breach of his right to legal representation. However, his appeal was dismissed. He made several more unsuccessful attempts to appeal his convictions in the following years. In 2001, Milat was transferred to the High Risk Management Corrections Center, Supermax, at Goulburn Correctional Center, which caused public outcry when he received a toaster and television in his cell. In his final years, Milat denied his involvement in the murders committed by his family. He engaged in self-harm, including cutting off his little finger and swallowing metal objects. He went on a hunger strike in an unsuccessful attempt to be given a PlayStation. In May 2019, Milat was diagnosed with terminal esophageal cancer and was transferred to the Prince of Wales Hospital for treatment. Despite ongoing investigations, Milat was never officially linked to additional murders, but police believe he may have been involved in more than the 7 for which he was convicted. Several unsolved cases bear similarities to his modus operandi. including the murders of Karen Rowland, Peter Lecher, and Diane Pinacchio. There were also cases of unsolved disappearances of young women in the Hunter region that were initially attributed to a separate unidentified serial killer, but later considered as possibly connected to Milat. Milat died on October 27, 2019, from esophageal and stomach cancer while in custody at the Long Bay Correctional Center. He had requested that his funeral be paid for by the government, but the request was denied. Prior to his death, police attempted to elicit a confession from him but were unsuccessful. Milat's family claims that he previously admitted to his involvement in the backpacker murders to his mother. While police maintain that Milat may have been involved in more murders, no further charges were brought against him due to a lack of evidence. Various other crimes have been speculated to be connected to Milat, including the disappearances of Anita Cunningham, Gabrielle Yankee, and others, but no official connection has been established. The case of Ivan Milat, known as the backpacker murderer, was a chilling and haunting chapter in Australian criminal history. I'm Alex, your host, and I invite you to share your thoughts and comments below. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel for more intriguing content. Stay safe.